Okay, wish me luck, guys. I'm going to try and be real brief, and it's not going to work. Before we get started, I'd like to say that if Michael Chu or anyone from Blizzard ever happens to watch this, I do have a tone of bitterness throughout this video. I can't help it. I'm actually a little upset about what I'm talking about here. With that in mind, though, I do respect your work. I don't mean to talk in such a way that is just shitting on the writing or any one individual or anything like that at all. Nothing but respect. But things could be done better, I think. So, this morning, I woke up, I rubbed the sleep out of my eyes, and I checked my phone. The first thing I saw, I had a notification from my own Discord, something that doesn't usually happen, so I checked it right away. And it was a really bad way to start my morning. A fan had pinged me, linked me to a thread on our Overwatch, talking about how Michael Chu, the lead writer of Overwatch, had retconned D.Va and her background overnight. At some point last night, Michael Chu responded to some fans who were speculating about D.Va's background and the existence of Heroes of the Storm within the Overwatch universe, and he said, quote, "It's a common misconception, but D.Va wasn't a StarCraft pro before joining Mecha," end quote. Now, I am a big D.Va fan, big with a capital B-I-G D.Va fan. Her playstyle is sort of similar to a pseudo-heavy from Team Fortress 2, which is a class that I really enjoyed playing, but more importantly for me, was the way that she was announced and her character's backstory. D.Va was announced in 2015 through a page on the official StarCraft World Championship Series website. She was given her own player profile page, which outlined that she was a Korean random player who started playing the game at the age of 16 and went undefeated in competition for the next 3 years. It was because of her skills in StarCraft that she was recruited to the Mecha program, which began her journey into the Overwatch hero lineup. I am a huge StarCraft fan, as many of you probably know. At the time this announcement was made, I was still just a fan. I was not anybody in the scene at all. And it was an interesting time to be a StarCraft fan. It was rough. There was a lot of paranoia. There was a lot of exasperation. There was a lot of fear. When this announcement hit, it felt really good. It showed StarCraft fans that Blizzard still had a connection, a strong connection to StarCraft 2, that they still loved StarCraft 2 esports and had high expectations for it, considering the fact that this fictional character wasn't even supposed to be born for a number of years, seeing as how Overwatch is set in the science fiction future. Now, Michael Chu actually made a forum post after this tweet on a forum thread talking about this retcon, and he says that misconception probably wasn't the right way to describe what he was talking about, more like something that we haven't clarified properly, is his exact words. He says that when they announced D.Va, they were experimenting, testing out a lot of different ways to announce a character for Overwatch, and they decided that the WCF website would be kind of a cool way to do it. He said that, quote, "At the time, I actually worried that it would be taken as canon, but I was hoping elements like the fact her preferred race was listed as random, and the fact that she couldn't have competed in the current series would help defray that. In hindsight, yeah, pretty confusing," end quote. This just makes no sense. It honestly just makes no sense. First off, we'll take into account the idea that this is something that needs to be clarified, or it's some kind of misconception within the fan community. I don't really understand how an announcement of a hero, where the text of the announcement is so clear, where the platform that the announcement is made on is so specific, I'm not really sure if you can call this a misconception. Blizzard very purposefully put her announcement in the form of a WCS player profile. It very clearly states that the character is a WCS StarCraft professional from the future, or whatever, in this alternate timeline. Of course it's fictional, obviously, of course, but that is a very clear character backstory right there. It's not a lot to go on. It wasn't a very lengthy profile, but it's definitely very concise and clear. Secondly, to think that because she's listed as a random player, or that she couldn't compete in the current series for WCS that was taking place at the time would make that obviously fake is just mind-blowing. It's very, very difficult to play random at the professional level in StarCraft, but it's not inconceivable. Maybe there's like a little bit of suspension of disbelief. There's more when it comes in that she's undefeated for 3 years, definitely, but this is a world where we have talking monkeys. This is a world where we have AI that's so advanced and so long developed that we can actually go to war with it. This is a world where we have a pop star turned pseudo superhero that has a gun which speed boosts you or heals your wounds when you're shot. In the world of Overwatch, the amount of suspension of disbelief that is required to believe D.Va's backstory is negligible. Second is the fact that she couldn't have competed in the current WCS series, and of course that obviously makes it, you know, a dead-end red herring backstory. That makes no sense at all. There's some contention about when the events of Overwatch are taking place. Most people seem to agree that it's during the 2070s, but there are some people who believe that it's during the 2030s. Well, if D.Va is 19 in 2030, she's definitely not competing in WCS 2015. Michael Chu goes on in his forum post to outline that D.Va is not a StarCraft pro, but she is a pro gamer in another esport that is closer, more in line with the skills that she would need to be recruited to Mecha in the first place. Once again, I just don't really understand. First off, StarCraft has lots of different varying skill sets. You need to be paying attention to detail, you need to be multitasking, you need a super ultra quick reaction time. I don't know what kind of game she'd be playing that's more close to Mecha. What, we got some Chromehounds esport and 20XX? Is D.Va the greatest MechWarrior online player we haven't met yet? And finally, Chu outlines that while she might not be pro in StarCraft, D.Va's definitely played StarCraft and has enjoyed it, and it's actually one of her father's favorite video games. So, you know, it's okay, StarCraft fans. Like, yeah, it's still in there. She likes it. Now, let's address the idea that this is a misconception that needs to be cleared up. Let's just take that on face value. This is something that needs to be clarified. It was never intended to be, you know, D.Va is a StarCraft pro. This just needed to be fixed, and it got fixed last night, okay? Well, StarCraft has been an important part of D.Va's wiki entry for quite a while now. Granted, it's a fan wiki, but you'd think that, like, maybe somebody would notice that, right? And that's not even the most prevalent mention of StarCraft in reference to D.Va over the years. Heck, when she was first announced, PC Gamer put out this article, which includes StarCraft 2 in its headline. The idea that the fan notion of D.Va as a StarCraft pro was only brought to Michael Chu's attention via Twitter January 31st, 2018, is just laughable. Obviously, Blizzard knew that fans believed this to be actual factual D.Va lore, so why didn't they correct this right away? Actually, I can do you one better than that. I can show you points where Blizzard themselves has referred to D.Va as a StarCraft pro, outside of the initial announcement. In 2016, the StarCraft 2 goodie that was included in the BlizzCon virtual ticket was a D.Va portrait and announcer pack. Despite what many people will tell you, it is the best announcer pack in StarCraft, and I've used it since its release. Now, as you can see in this post made by Blizzard official, she is directly referred to as a StarCraft pro. Quote, "Although D.Va is known most recently for her activities within the Overwatch organization, her journey began in the StarCraft esports scene, where she became the #1 ranked player in the world at the age of 16. End quote. Granted, this post was probably made by someone in the StarCraft marketing team, but you would assume that if this misconception was so prevalent to be a part of like Blizzard's internal documents, not even internal, Blizzard's external documents, Blizzard's advertising, someone from the Overwatch team probably should have stepped up at some point and mentioned it. Somebody probably should have raised it to their attention. Somebody probably should have said literally anything in the past 3 years to prevent this becoming a common, accepted, actual, factual piece of D.Va lore. A lot of people gravitated towards D.Va because she was a StarCraft pro. Not because she was an esports pro, because she was a StarCraft pro. Why would you take away that link to our lives and make it faceless? Why would you make her a pro gamer in some faceless game, rather than something that we all recognize and that a lot of us know and love? It is a really big difference. It might not seem like a big difference, but it is a really big difference. Imagine if your favorite character in any given work of media was just a little bit different. The change doesn't have to be huge to have a huge impact. For the D.Va superfans out there, for everybody on Our Hannah Song, for all the StarCraft players who's picked up Overwatch because of this character, this change is very crucial. It is monumental. And is anybody really sitting there thinking, oh my god, yes, thank god they changed this backstory element. I am so excited for her being a pro gamer in some nondescript, fictional, non-existent video game. Thank you, Lord. I would be very surprised if that's the case. This just honestly feels like such an injustice. It just feels bad. It feels bad for the Overwatch lore. It feels bad for the character. It feels bad as a StarCraft fan. It feels bad as an esports fan even. Like, damn. I don't understand why this change would be made. I don't understand. And that's what it is. It has to be a change. There's no way they sat on 3 years knowing the fandom believed her to be a StarCraft pro without mentioning it. So why is this change being made? And can we just not? Can we stop right here and roll this back before it really starts to get going, before people really sink their teeth into it and wonder what happened? That's my request. Please, Michael Chu, please, can we just roll this one back? I want to give a quick shout out to a good friend of mine, Glide Strife, who shot the footage that you're looking at behind us, this wonderful footage of Tracer gameplay, not D.Va, but Tracer. Unfortunate though that may be. I would have got the footage myself, but unfortunately, this is what Overwatch looks like on my computer from 2012. And I thought that you guys would probably prefer to look at something a little prettier. I doubt that I have a lot of pull. I don't think I can start a Twitter hashtag campaign, but I'm gonna try. Why not? Hashtag not my D.Va. Credit to Aoret on Twitter. A couple of other people have used this hashtag in the past, and even in relation to this particular incident, but let's see if we could just get a little bit of traction. Hashtag not my D.Va. Tweet it at the Overwatch account. It's at least worth a shot. You miss every shot you don't take, and this is a shot worth taking. Let's band together. Let's save D.Va's lore. Thank you so much for watching. If anyone from Blizzard happens to be watching, maybe you could just, email this to the writing team. Just think about it. Think about it. That's all. Until next time, my name is Cyan, and I am sad about D.Va.